Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
How about now? Can you hear me?
Yes,
now?
perfect.
There's your lovely voice. We love your voice, John.
Oh, great. I'm really fond of it too. I use it all the time.
Exactly.
I like that background too. Is that like a Zoom background?
No, I'm actually in a forest. I'm out in the garden.
Honestly, like you could have fooled me.
Oh my
Like,
god,
yeah.
it's
It looks
gorgeous.
pretty realistic.
And it's actually like a physical thing, not a virtual like backdrop.
Yeah, no, it's a real thing. Yeah, it's a big poster I got in IKEA. You know, like a big canvas thing you stretch over a
Cool.
frame, and then we moved houses like 600 times, and
Yeah.
then I started doing this, the further emergence stuff, and I thought, oh yeah, I could just use it. So like when I'm finished, I just roll it up. I'm just in another room,
Yeah.
but it stops people getting distracted when we're
Yeah.
talking about difficult things.
Exactly.
What's that bookshelf? What's that on the bookshelf behind him?
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah,
think about
it's
that
true.
rather
Studio distractions.
than face what's
Relaxing.
going on. Thanks. Yeah. I mean, some people really think I'm in a forest. Like, it's amazing. I go, no, I'm not. It's
Honestly,
light
it's pretty
coming through.
believable.
Yeah.
The light's very cool.
yeah, it's great.
Well, it's good to talk to you, and thanks for like wanting to do this.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I saw all this excitement going on, the big build up, and then all the feedback coming in. So it felt
I
like you were
know.
sort of riding this beautiful wave, and I thought, oh yeah, that's perfect for a little catch up episode.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and I
'Cause,
said whenever. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
And I said last time that we spoke that when I came back, we would do all of us or both of us.
Yeah, we've never done a podcast together actually, so this opens a door.
Okay,
to
well,
duo. Podcast.
let me clarify.
Okay.
Okay, so these catch-up episodes I do, they're like sort of magazine things. They're like, what's going on? Who's doing what? But I did plan to have you both on, like, officially, long form, get people to ask you questions, to do all that kind of thing. And that's why I was saying to you, like, this is just like 10 minutes if you want. It was more like you looked really busy, and I don't want to sort of, say, oh, let's have a big 4-hour conversation. And really, if you want to just chat about what's going on with your with the online workshop that you did, that was such a big success. But yeah, I'm happy to chat away anyway about whatever's going on. But I will say, can we do a big official one later where you both are there and we get the questions and all that kind of thing?
Totally. We're down.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just give us a time. And I mean, we can go longer than 10 minutes today for sure. But if you want to do a longer format one, then let's just write it down. Let's set a date and then we'll do it.
Yeah. Well, because, I mean, it's been over a year since you were on, Colleen, but it's pretty recent. I mean, what is it? Well, I can't remember when you were on, Will. It feels like about 3 or 4 months ago, was it?
Oh, yeah.
Or is it longer?
Maybe
it's longer, is it?
Yeah, I think of a little bit longer.
Yeah.
4
Yeah.
or 5 months ago.
I'd like to say that it was more recently because that would mean that like time isn't passing
As
fast
fast
as it is, but it is passing fast. So
I know. When you
Well-
have an Instagram account, you can kind of log your lifetime, and
That's
you're
true.
like, and like, it's really great because I feel like I can go back and be like, holy shit, that was 2 years ago. It felt like
Yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah. I just had that really strongly yesterday because I spent last night, I was up till like midnight chatting to the finalists for the Bennett Prize.
Oh,
And in the run up to that, I was like, wow, that was 2 years ago already. 2 years ago, I was there doing exactly the same thing. Well, I was
Pre-COVID.
doing it on Zoom, but yeah, it was totally pre-COVID. It was pre-COVID.
yeah, free.
we might be looking back at COVID sometime.
I
Like
know.
that was a long time ago, or that was a dream. Remember when we were in COVID and
Yeah.
lockdown? And I mean, someday even our
Exactly.
kids might not even remember what that was like.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
they won't.
Yeah, your kids will be like, I remember in COVID, you don't know you're born. You don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
You've got it lucky.
Exactly.
We had to wear face masks.
I know. Oh my god.
So, tell me a little bit about tell me about the journey of the your workshop. How did you haven't done one before that I know of, not an online one, not under your own steam anyway. So how did it start and how did it go?
Well, we've been giving workshops together in various forms for probably close to 10 years now. And when we first did a workshop in our studio. I don't know when that was, but I mean, our studio is not that big, and we try and pack in like 10, 15 people in the studio, and I mean, be sitting on top of each other. And we had just gotten out of Grand Central, and we were just trying to make ends meet, trying to teach, and we did all right, not too bad. But we've also done tons of, then you had your whole workshop, like journeying the world thing that you were doing for a while.
Right. There was 2 years where I went to Italy and Ireland too. And I was going to go to Mallorca, Pulsar, and do a workshop there. So there's a lot of physical workshopping going on before I had a baby.
Yeah, you were doing like a world tour. You were in California and doing.
Went to Stanford University and dissected cadavers. Yeah, I was just like travel and do workshops.
Yeah. I mean, you know, we're really lucky to have that, like, that opportunity just to make ends meet doing the workshop thing. And I think then with COVID and the Zoom, you know, those two things like happening simultaneously, all of a sudden there was this like new opportunity that instead of teaching to maybe 10 people at a time, all of a sudden the technology opens up so that you can be teaching 100 or 500 or 1,000 people at a time.
It's insane.
And it's kind of a really unique and unprecedented thing historically in terms of what we've been able to do. And we watched our friends and peers do it. We watched Zoe Frank do it. We watched Amaya do it, and they both had like extraordinary success. And we were like, oh my God, we got to get on this thing. So, you know, after about a year of COVID, everyone's pretty comfortable doing the Zoom thing now.
Yeah.
And I think people are used to the idea of like, oh, I can learn via Zoom, just like they're like, I can go to work via Zoom. So people feel very comfortable with the technology and comfortable with interacting and learning using this new like interface.
Totally.
So I think it's, I don't know how long it will last. I mean, if the world comes back and we can do workshops in person and see people in person, will people stop wanting to learn online and virtually?
It's just so much easier being in the comforts of your own home, learning from people. I'm not saying it's better, because maybe physically being with a person, I don't know. It's so hard because a lot of information can get transferred virtually through high definition video and oration the way that we did. I mean, it was like a dissection of your process. Well, I would say even more than any workshop I've ever given physically.
That's probably
I
true.
have not probed your process to the depth that we probed it.
It was probed
for ours.
Yeah, let's try and get the word probed in a few more times. I'm really enjoying that.
Well, it's true though, because even when you're giving a workshop in real life and you're demonstrating in front of your students, you're not really showing them your own personal work and your own personal process to some degree. You're showing a demonstration. Like, so there's only so much time.
Exactly.
You're kind of there, you're under those constraints. But what I did was I was recording my own personal painting that was my own art, if you will, and recording the whole process from start to finish and condensing that footage down to 2 days. So I kind of wanted to show people like what I always wanted to see when I was really trying to learn how to paint. I wanted to see the master not just do some kind of like demo that was like, oh, here's like me painting in air quotes. I wanted to see how do they make their actual work from start to finish? How did they layer the process? And I wanted to see like every brushstroke. And with the camera, all this, you can really like get up on the painting and see it like very close. So that's what we were trying to do. It was
like a demo on steroids.
Yeah, I haven't seen that kind of format before, because if I understand it right, I mean, I should say I didn't attend it if you're listening, but there's been so much promotion that I feel like I kind of have a good idea of how it kind of went. So you painted, as you say, Will, and then for the workshop you were kind of you were questioning Will, Colleen, about the video that was on screen.
Yes.
Is that right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's an unusual format. How did you? Or I haven't seen that before. Did you come at that yourselves, or how did you come to it? Or
well, we knew that we wanted it to be pre-recorded so that Will could be free to talk with me and banter with me, because we wanted it to be like a demo, you know, of the artist working. with a podcast, like a kind of formal but informal, almost Joe Rogan style, like podcast format, where there's light banter that can meander off topic.
Yeah.
Be suddenly talking about your brush strokes and like impastos, and then be talking about life and Instagram and raising kids. Like you could have that.
Did you pause the video when you went off on a tangent like that?
No, I think some people probably wish that we did.
And we had a third person, Lauren Anderson, who was running the admin part. She would, come in and be like, "Hey, could we get back on the video and talk about like we have people?" Because we would go off and ramble a little bit a few times.
All right, so there was interaction then from the people who are participating in the Zoom call as well.
Yes.
Yeah, they're bombarding her with questions about every little brushstroke. And I mean, we like to get down into the nitty gritty of like the technical and discuss a sort of play by play of everything that's happening in the video. But at the same time, I feel like there's just so many things to talk about in terms of life, in terms of art, in terms of like the direction that you're trying to go with your career, in terms of social media. There's just so much. And I mean, a lot of times at night, what we do is, we put the kids down, we put on music, we'll smoke some weed or not, whatever, just hang out. And a lot of times we just talk about art. We talk about our careers, where we want to go, what we want to do. And we, this is like part of our brain trust. We're really into this idea of brain trust, where you have these kind of discussions about anything and everything.
Yeah.
And we kind of wanted to do this for people who were interested and just let them into our thinking, our thought process, because we really think that it's not just about one person just doing their painting in isolation. We really don't believe in this idea. I think we think it's a team effort. Everything that we do is like a team effort in life. And I think that showing people what that's all about and how we do that, I think is really a critical part of like what we're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's
huge.
just as important in a weird way as just the brushstrokes. I mean, it's the thought process, and it's like sharing your thoughts with someone.
Yep. It's the mental attitude and outlook, just as much as the physical aspect of painting.
100%. And it can go. And the other thing is like also with like podcasts, and this, John, like the podcast format is people just having human discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's amazing about it, and this is what I hope sticks around, is that people can like participate in a human discussion between two people, and they can be halfway around the world.
Yes.
Like when we signed on, there were people saying like, "Oh, I'm in Cairo, I'm in London, I'm in Switzerland, I'm in India."
Oh, so
and
freaking cool.
I love that aspect of the podcast thing, where it's like it's almost like you're sitting in the room with two people and they're just talking. They're just talking. It's not pre-scripted.
Yeah.
It's not like there's no time format. It could go in this direction and could go in that direction. It's a beautiful thing. So kind of incorporating that, which a lot of people are doing with the art speak and with the demo footage and all that, is I think just kind of the angle we were trying to come at it.
Totally.
Yeah. Brilliant. So, all right. So you set the date and then you started promoting. Were you surprised at the response? Like how many people came?
We didn't expect that.
I think we were very surprised towards the end, especially because we thought that we were going to tap out at a certain number. And literally the morning of the workshop, as I'm frantically like plugging in cables to get everything ready, our tech person, Lauren, said, "We're going to have to close the registration because there's a limit on how many people Zoom will allow you to have in a workshop or in a meeting at one time, and we're about to exceed that limit." So
which was 500.
And we didn't think that was going to happen at all, but it was all streaming in the last moment. So that was another added layer of stress, but also you feel good about it. And then we decided after the fact to reopen the workshop because there were people who couldn't get in because of the Zoom thing. So now the recording is available online on my website, and it's open to anyone who wants to buy it. So
yeah.
Can't you can upgrade your Zoom plan to?
That's what we need to do for the next one.
the
If
next
this
one.
happens again, definitely upgrading our Zoom plan so we don't have to. But what's funny is that when we sold it out, it created a frenzy.
Yeah, right.
Because it was inaccessible. So that then created a flurry. Anyway, which is probably good for hype.
Yeah. Well, your promotion of it was pretty amazing, I must say.
Really? You think so?
That's her hidden,
Well,
not so hidden talent that she's really tapping into now.
I like
Yeah.
marketing. I guess I just.
Yeah, it was brilliant. So I was showing my wife, I was saying, look at this person. And my wife was like, wow, she's so cool. She's just so cool. I was like, yeah, I know. Anyone else walking down the street, it's just somebody walking down the street. But I don't know what you've got going on there, Colleen. But like, and the one with your cutting your hair, that was like, it's like,
I just laugh.
I don't know, it's like social media gold, you know? Because
Well, it's funny.
Because
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it, if you're listening, right? But Colleen is cutting her hair, talking about the upcoming workshop. But the scissors she's using, you know, I mean, it's just slightly smaller than a garden shears, you know? It seems huge. It's so loud, you can hear it cutting the hair. And it creates such tension, you know? You're like, oh my God, don't cut your head off. Yeah, made big impact.
Well, we went
That's
to an
great.
art opening last night, and there were people coming up to me. Oh my God! And they were doing this, John. Colleen. So
Colleen's making little finger mimes with their fingers across her forehead. You know?
yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing that we wanted to try to do is promote it in a way that was unconventional. You know, do little things that flip a switch. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Those things don't come together. Hair cutting and promoting a workshop, those aren't things that really are compatible, but you use that for
yeah, that was brilliant. Really
so it was
good.
really fun, wasn't it? It was fun just getting our brain trust together and thinking about the promoting aspect.
I mean, and it's all about like using that particular language of Instagram.
Yes, using the language,
which is it's different. It's not like how, you know, when we were younger and you'd be watching television and they would have some scripted advertisement for some kind of product and they play it like 1,000 times and, you know, it somehow gets in your head. But I think now with social media, it's really, people are looking for connection and they want to feel somehow like there's this kind of unmediated connection between you and the person you're following.
Yeah.
So it's not based on a script. There's not a producer. There's not all these things between the viewer and the person.
Exactly.
It's just, you want to collapse that space.
You do want to collapse that space.
And I think there's something really powerful in that. And it doesn't have to be, I mean, this is the amazing thing about like YouTube stars that I'm just blown away by is you see people who are just, they're really captivating minds. And the production value and the budget of everything they're doing, they're spending like no money whatsoever on promoting whatever they're doing, if it's like a cosmetic or whatever. And it somehow is really capturing people's attention because there's this intimacy there.
Yeah.
Like, do you do ASMR, or have you seen ASMR videos?
Yeah. Yes, I have.
You should do one.
You should.
I mean, there's something like that. And you ask yourself, like, why are these so popular?
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's so strange. It's a strange thing. But there are people who, you know,
well,
myself
apparently not everybody is sensitive to ASMR. So for people who don't get it, it's like people who are colorblind. They're like, what is that? You know, but if you have the particular neuronal setup in your head that it just triggers things in you, it's like makes a big impact. But if you don't, it's like don't get.
Are you sensitive to it?
I don't think from what I've read about the descriptions of people and when they describe it, I don't think I'm that sensitive. But I kind of like it. But I
find it relaxing.
No, actually, I don't find it relaxing. The opposite.
I do.
Will's obsessed with
You find it relaxing, do you? Yeah. Okay. So you probably, you know, it really works for you. Like you're probably very sensitive to it.
I mean, for me, it's not as much of like I don't always get that like trigger sensation that people describe, but even if I don't, I do find it relaxing and it like helps me fall asleep or it just helps me chill. But there's something about like this kind of, it's like a fake, not fake, but it's like a simulated intimacy.
True.
That with ASMR.
Yeah, with the ASMR artist that's a lot of things. I think that it provides something to people who watch it, is this kind of simulated intimacy. And you would think that, well, the human mind knows that it's sitting in front of a computer. It knows there's not a real person there. but on some level, you kind of can convince yourself that there's like a real person there.
Mm.
And this is the whole thing about computers now and social media and all that. So
I know, and it's also it just comes into the whole conversation of our artists hiding behind the art, or showing face. This is really big, and it's very hard for artists to show face sometimes.
True.
Many artists just don't want to show. They just want to be, the art wants to speak for them, and they want to hide behind that curtain. But in this in 2021, it's just, I think that artists showing up and speaking directly is a huge selling point, because it's that human connection. And if you can get both, I think it's the best of both. You can show the paintings and show your face too. People will like that.
That's why I send you that photo of myself in my undies, John.
That was classic. That was a classic moment.
I should clarify if you're listening. Will didn't just send me that picture just randomly. He sent it to me for the promotion of him being on the podcast.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
He's not in the habit of sending me pictures of himself in his underwear.
But what's funny is that that's not an uncommon thing, especially when it's the heat of the summer, for Will to just take his jeans off and be walking around the studio in his underwear. So
well, it does get incredibly hot here.
It does. We're on the 4th floor, so it's it gets sweltering.
Now, if you're thinking to yourself, God, I'm really enjoying this podcast. I've listened to a few now and they're brilliant. And there's so many of them. And I've learned so much from listening to them. And you know what? If I met that John Dalton fella in real life, I'd love to buy him a cup of tea and have a chat with him. I'd love to do that every month if I could. Well, now you can. The tea part at least, because this podcast runs on cups of tea bought for me by people like you who listen to the podcast and send me the price of a cup of tea once a month through the Patreon account. That's patreon.com/John Dalton Gently Does It, all one word. And if you're one of those people who already send me cups of tea through Patreon, thanks a million. The tea is lovely and I really appreciate it. Now, the great thing is that if you can't afford to send me the price of a cup of tea, or you don't want to, that's fine. You still get exactly the same podcast for free. It's sort of an honor system where the people who can afford it and want to pay for the people who can't or don't want to. So it's all lovely. So if you'd like to send me a cup of tea once a month, you can do that through Patreon. I'd really appreciate it. It makes a huge difference to me. So, okay, so it's a big success. And then within, I thought it was amazing. I know it's bad for you, but I thought it was incredible that within hours of you kind of going, okay, everyone, bye, and thanks for everything, that people were already trying to bootleg it and sell it.
We're trying to still figure that out, because it's actually a mystery what was going on there.
Mm-hmm.
Because it seemed like there was some kind of hack job, because everyone that attended, or many people that attended the workshop, their emails became available to this person.
Some people just started emailing people who took the workshop, and we couldn't figure out how
would they know?
Bootleggers knew the email addresses of the people who they were approaching, and we still haven't really figured that out. I don't think it's a huge deal, but it's just something that makes you scratch your head.
Yeah, and it wasn't just one source. There was many different weird emails and then DMs to people. There were some people saying, some mysterious person was saying, I was a participant in the workshop, but my password's not working. Could you remind me of the password?
Yeah.
Sketchy.
Very sketchy.
What I find it all that's awful, right? But what's delightful is that you put on a workshop for very classical painting, and people wanted to steal it. 10 years ago it would have been number one, how many people would you have got to it in the first place, and would anyone have cared enough to try and hack your server to get the email addresses to it's bad, but it's good in another way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that, and who thought anyone would spend money on an NFT? The world is just changing in ways that you never can anticipate. You got to just go with it, I guess.
I know. Yeah. It's so true. All the more reason to show up and do your thing, because you never know.
Absolutely.
What the heck is going to happen. which is fun.
So it's available now, but you can, if you're listening, it's not like you missed your chance. You can still get it on your website, Will, is that right?
Yes, willstjohn.com.
And it's all the footage. It's almost like being there, except you can't send all the questions in.
Yeah.
And you have the advantage of being able to mute us and just watch the video, which is probably someone told me that was way better that way. I don't think they were trying to be mean, but
focus. If you
yeah,
want to focus,
exactly.
you can rewind, fast forward, and mute it, and just like, shut up, Colleen and Will. I just want to watch.
Yeah, you might just want to focus on
Yeah.
the demonstration and not listen to the conversation, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the visuals are so stunning that it's just great.
And that is going to be available indefinitely, yeah?
I think we're going to make it available up to a year.
Yeah.
So not indefinitely, but for
Okay.
a good long while, people will really be able to, dig in until the next one comes out, maybe next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the obvious, well, I don't know if it is obvious, but it seemed obvious to me that like the next one would be Colleen painting and you talking to her. Is that what's on the cards, or?
If I can get my tech game together.
Yeah, you could do it.
Yeah. I mean, I would like that because I have a new project coming up, like a big painting.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking this could be great if I documented, if not every moment of it, some moments of it, enough for like a Zoom workshop. It could be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
But maybe we could spice something else in there too.
I know, we'll have to think of
Well,
something.
yeah, like it's like not just painting. Maybe there's something else we haven't thought of that we could include into it,
Mm-hmm.
into the artistic, life of a painting or something like that.
Mm.
So.
Well, you could do a little course, Colleen, on how to promote things on Instagram. I think you
Yeah.
definitely got a there's a
Marketing
niche there
101,
Yeah.
Instagram marketing for the artist.
Yeah, how to be cool with Colleen.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder if people would sign up for that.
They would, of course they would, and then you'd be hacked
Oh,
as
yeah.
well. And then
Yeah,
if you took a
exactly.
screenshot of being hacked, you could turn that into an NFT, and it's
Exactly. See the layers here?
It's just
See the
all
layers?
money in the bank, really, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's just all how you just spin it.
It's so funny. It's hilarious. Someone sent me some wood from Sweden and wants to do an NFT of me opening up the wood.
Oh, you didn't tell me they wanted to make an NFT of that.
Well, he labeled the wood NFT wood.
Hmm.
Or remember in the
Do you have
letter?
to record it,
Yeah.
videotape it?
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do this because I don't really know if NFTs is really that lucrative for us right at this point. But yeah, the NFT thing, I think people are up to doing anything with NFTs at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, they're not great for the planet, unfortunately.
I know, it's true.
Especially
That
not with the wood
storage.
burning.
I know.
That's like doubly bad.
It's
Like
exactly.
burning wood from some Swiss forest and then making an NFT. Does this guy want to kill the planet? Like, what's wrong with him?
Doubly, he wants to kill it twice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I love the NFT idea. I think it's fantastic. Like that artists would get copyright, would get royalties from their paintings. That's a beautiful idea, and it will come. But just while the server farms are churning out so much
The
heat,
server
it's
farms,
not
yeah.
good. It's not good. But it's changing apparently. Apparently, there's a strain of Ethereum that is really trying hard to be environmentally friendly, and the hope is that all the art NFTs will shift over to that.
Mm.
If your work does not sell as an NFT, is it still on a server farm?
Yeah, because it has
Yeah,
to be to
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
so
the
your
computing.
NFT is not is like,
It's on the blockchain.
and then how do you get it off the blockchain if it doesn't sell? Let's just say, can you unmint it?
I thought that you couldn't. I thought at one point that if something was on the blockchain, that it was there permanently. But a friend of mine who knows a lot about this, a lot more than I do, said that you can actually destroy an NFT, which I
Okay.
guess would somehow eliminate it from the blockchain. I don't know how to do that myself, but I've heard
So
that it's
weird.
possible.
Yeah, it's when the money is exchanging. That's when the servers go crazy, because each transaction has to be validated, and that's what creates all the computing power. So if you just put it up and no one buys it, it's fine. Nothing's going to happen.
Oh, I see.
It's when
Interesting.
someone buys it, or and when they start selling it and on-selling it, that's what causes
okay.
the cascade of validating the blockchain as it goes along. So yeah.
Right.
But like all crypto is the same, all cryptocurrency is the same. It's all not great. They haven't figured out that bit, It's like still having a big party about, yay, cryptocurrency. But then somebody's going, yeah, it's very hot in here, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure they'll make it environmentally sound somehow eventually. I'm sure that they will.
When we switch over to the quantum computers, probably will, because they run cold, super cold.
Oh, interesting.
But I was reading something about like what apps have the biggest carbon footprint. And NFTs, for whatever reason, they got a lot of attention, buzz in the media as being like not environmentally sound. We've all heard that. But TikTok, I think, is one of the has one of the biggest carbon footprints of like any app.
Oh gosh.
And it's pretty massive. And somehow a lot of the apps that we all use, I'm sure Instagram has some carbon footprint. I'm sure YouTube and all these massive companies, they also need servers that generate electricity in order to run. And somehow they've escaped criticism. In the way that NFTs have not. And I'm not really sure exactly why that is, but I think even using Instagram on a daily basis and those TikTok videos that you're dancing in front of TikTok, it probably has some kind of environmental impact. I don't know how it compares to NFTs, but
yeah.
Because the thing is, not as many people, like if NFTs consume a lot of energy, they probably do, but not as many people are making and minting NFTs as are using like TikTok, Instagram, etc. So maybe the individual use of the TikTok is not as great as an NFT, but there's so many people on it that like that's where the imprint comes from, or the
Yeah. I'm guessing that with Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, it's kind of like two-way traffic. It's like it's sitting on the server farm and people are either uploading or mostly they're downloading, so it's kind of just that way. Whereas with blockchain, the blockchain stuff, and like NFTs would be tiny compared to the cryptocurrency exchanges, it's buying and selling Bitcoin or any other of the crypto coins. Because when you, from my limited understanding of how it works, when you say buy some Bitcoin, that transaction has to be validated, and it's validated across a lot of computers all at the same time. So it's not just like downloading a video from YouTube or watching a video from YouTube where it's just one way. It's like this thing that goes out across this huge number of computers all at the same time, and they're all racing to try and validate the transaction first, because then they get a couple of coins as a result. That's where the mining thing comes from. So I think that's why the crypto is so like the idea of a decentralized network as against a big centralized thing, which was like why they came up with crypto in the first place, is beautiful. It's a beautiful idea, but the kind of thing they didn't think about was like, oh yeah, it's gonna get a bit hot with all these computers working so hard.
And you're saying that's for just crypto in general, not just NFTs, or all the same, crypto and NFT?
Well, it all uses blockchain technology. So anything that uses blockchain technology has to be validated. Any transaction has to be validated on the ledger. And then, when it's validated, it seals off that block, and then it moves down, and then the next one is open,
That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know how long it lasts. I feel like the crypto thing has already kind of like reached peak consciousness in terms of like everyone's written about it and everyone kind of knows what it is now. And I go on some of the marketplaces occasionally just to see what's what. And I mean, it's funny because we look at like the contemporary art market, and you see the superstars, the contemporary art superstars like Jeff Koons and this, that, and the other people who are like selling for huge sums. And then there are a lot of people who can't sell for anything. They can't become a part of the game. And it seemed like the NFT dream was that, well, artists, they'll get a portion of the resale. Like it's, the gallery doesn't take 50%, et cetera, et cetera. But I think if you were to look at who's selling NFTs, it's a similar thing to the contemporary art market in that there are a few superstars like Beeple who sell their NFTs and make a lot of money. But for the majority of people, like contemporary art, they're just scraping by. They don't sell at all, or they sell for not much money. So while there are some things about the NFT that are really good in terms of like I was saying with the resale and the artist getting a portion of the resale, it hasn't really seemed to be able to like overcome this law of a minority coming away with a majority of the sales. That just seems to be some kind of like weird, like law of the universe that almost can't be overcome. I mean, for instance, like someone like Edward Snowden is on this foundation app. He put on an NFT that was I think it was some documents that he had leaked or something like that. And I mean, it sold for an extraordinary sum of money, which is great. I really have no problem with that. But 99.9% of the people who are selling on that same marketplace foundation are not selling at all. And if they do sell, it's just only going to go for like a fraction of what that Edward Snowden thing. So I think if you come into the NFT game with a name already or the backing of an institution like Sotheby's, then you can make out really, really well. But if you're kind of a nobody in the NFT game or a nobody in the contemporary art game or any game, nothing is going to like help you in that way. So it's always like, to those who have more shall be given. So if you come into that game with something already, you could make out really, really well.
Rewards you for that.
Yeah. The it's like what you're saying, to me, it seems to sort of fit. It's in somewhere between prints and painting. It's like just another thing. Like if you're big enough to think that people would want to buy your prints, then doing an NFT is probably not going to be a bad thing because it's not going to cost you anything. It's just a digital. You've already got the JPEG, and you make 20 or 100 of them available, just like a limited edition print, and then people will either buy them or they won't. I don't think. I think what's interesting is the intersection of what we were talking about with you, Colleen, and your Instagram promoting skills is that, basically the more of a profile a person has, the more chance, as you said, Will, of their NFT doing well. So absolutely. You could be not such a great artist, but be pretty good on Instagram and your NFTs would go great.
So true.
Yeah. And then you see people who are like selling memes and things like that. And they do really well as NFTs. Exactly. Like I think Charlie Bit My Finger got some ridiculous amount of money. I don't know, $1 million or something. At least hundreds of thousands for Charlie Bit My Finger. But it comes to the game already as something that's like culturally known. So the thing is, like, I mean, being known already, a lot of it makes me wonder, like, what do people want when they want to buy something? Like that's a work of art or an NFT. What do people really want? Because the thing is, as a young person, when I was younger and I was investing all this time in learning how to paint and like trying to get the skill set of the old masters and all that, you kind of think that like what people want when they want art is generally speaking quality. I mean, I've come to see, now that I'm a little bit older, I've come to see that I really don't think that's true, even in the least bit. I mean, I think there is some market for quality. But I think what people really want is to own some piece of fame or to own what they perceive is going to be some piece of history, which is why these silly memes are actually making so much money. I mean, they're not works of quality. I mean, you can't even really ascribe quality to them unless you're talking about humor as a quality, because some of them are very funny, definitely funny. But I think it's almost like owning a little piece of history, which goes with the Edward Snowden NFTs, is that's a kind of significant piece of history, and that's probably why it ended up going for so much money. So I think, when tapping into the collector's mind, what do people want? What do they want to buy? What do they want to own? What is someone willing to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars for? I think it's to belong to some part of something greater than themselves, which is history or something famous.
It's also just a piece of I like to call a vibe.
You think it's just a vibe?
I think that people carry vibes with them, and some vibes are like electric and people want a piece of it. And other vibes are maybe not that electric and they're just like, pass. But if you have like a little bit of that.
But what if the vibe is not like, if it's an unknown vibe?
Unknown?
Well, if it's not like if it's not famous, I don't think someone's gonna just. Well, maybe they will. You think someone will just see a vibe of some like weird NFT and just be like, I have to have it, even if it's a total nobody? Maybe they will.
Beeple, isn't he have some kind of weird vibe?
Oh, do you know who has a vibe in the NFTs? Is that cat, Nyan cat?
Mm-hmm.
That's a vibe.
That's a vibe.
Have you seen it, John? It's like, it was one of the first NFTs that sold that made a lot of money. And all it is this like cat in like 8-bit graphics with maybe a rainbow or something behind it. And it's just like floating across the sky. It looks like something from the very basic like Nintendo graphics from 30 years ago. Anyway, it made hundreds of thousands. And I think you're right.
I think
it's
vibe
part
is
of
huge.
a vibe.
I think that, I think it's huge.
And it's a part of a vibe is like, this is just funny.
Yeah.
It's obviously a joke.
Yes.
But it's a kind of.
That's why this whole thing of like just counting on quality, like if it's just immaculate, they're going to love it. No, it's got to have the vibe. It's got to carry the vibe.
You got to have a vibe.
Which goes beyond just the physical like aspect of its creation. Because it can hold more mysterious elements than just perfect.
I think as well, the more you go up in price, the reasons why people buy things change. Like if you buy something for, for example, if you buy a painting for between 10 and 30 grand, it's probably because you love the painting and maybe you love the artist. If you buy a painting for between 100 and 200 grand, it could be that you love the artist, but it also could be, hey, look at this painting I bought for 200 grand.
Yeah.
I have that much money that I can just buy a painting for 200 grand. I think there's a bit of that as well. That's why people buy Lamborghinis and yachts, mega yachts. I just heard Jeff Bezos is waiting to take delivery of his $50 million mega yacht. It's so big that he can't land a helicopter on it because of the masts, so he bought a little yacht to go with the big yacht that he can land the helicopter on, and then the little yacht goes up to the big yacht and then he gets in.
I thought you were going to say there's a little helicopter that he gets out of the big helicopter, and the little helicopter flies him from the little yacht to the big yacht.
That would be ridiculous, Will.
Would that be hilarious?
That would be so funny.
He does have 2 little submarines that come with the yacht.
Oh, really?
That's insane.
Yeah.
That I didn't hear. That's
personal
really interesting.
submarines, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's about status for sure, and
it is a statement of status.
It's something.
Yeah.
And there's certain status NFTs, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what they are, but Beeple, I mean, to get that level of money, I mean, that becomes a status symbol just by dint of someone being willing to pay that much money for it. And the same thing happened to Van Gogh and Cause and all these people. It's just something that happens for some reason. Why that particular piece? Why that particular artist?
Well, and also really sometimes the art gets really dumbed down once it's sold for its price tag or whatever. Like I feel like
I think it was already pretty dumb.
Well, yeah. I don't know if Cause was ever like more than what we know him today, but
I don't think so.
But like when I went to the Cause show, I was like, wow, this is like super dumbed down, like and it's interesting, and I actually wear a Cause t-shirt and I like it. It's just dumbed down.
Is it the vibe then?
I like the vibe. Yeah.
What is the vibe?
I like the vibe of the show. I was like, oh, this is cool.
No, but I mean the Cause vibe in general. Like, how would you describe the vibe?
Street art meets pop art. Like,
yeah, but that's not really a vibe. Like,
yeah, maybe that's
the vibe.
The vibe. I don't know. It's hard to put my finger on it.
I mean, it's a little bit playful.
Yeah, for kids, but my kids are scared of those.
It's for if you're a grown-up kid, I guess.
Yeah, if you're a grown-up kid,
it definitely shows you're not too serious if you own Cause.
You're not too serious.
But it has this whole connection with like hip hop, and we were just looking up Swiss Beats, who owns one of these Cause gigantic sculptures, probably owns many Cause works, and he's like a hip hop producer and husband of Alicia Keys, and he's close with Cause, I believe.
Probably made his career when he.
So there's some kind of connection with street art, hip hop, the music industry,
that's the vibe.
And Cause.
Yeah, Totally.
And that, I don't even know if that's a vibe or if that's just an association. Because sometimes,
But
someone,
yeah, that can be an association. Vibes can
well,
be
I think a vibe is
associations
like
too.
an emotional association, rather than like a worldly connection with this or that person. Either way.
Well, if we can't put our finger on it, then that's probably a good thing.
But
Right?
I think as well, though, doesn't it come down to, like most artists I talk to, particularly when they talk about success, most of them, and this could be just the figurative art kind of gang that I talk to, is they're not that interested in making like tons and tons of money. They just want to be able to keep going, keep doing what they're doing, maybe have a museum show, maybe get some, acknowledgement from their peers or people they respect, other artists they respect. But beyond that, I don't think I've asked anyone, like, what's your big dream, and it's like, to have 4 mansions and, 5 gold toilets and 3 mega yachts. No, it doesn't happen. So I think that's helpful to kind of like, because it's easy to look at the top end of the art world and kind of go, oh my God, so much money. But it's like, yeah, but I don't, it's fair enough if that's what you're into. But, I think it's a good question to ask yourself of how much is enough, how much is enough for me? There's done loads of studies on, like this repeated study of, beyond, I think it's 75 grand a year, you don't get happier. That study?
Oh yeah,
it's not like if you're on 140 grand, you're twice as happy. You're not. It peaks at 75 grand. So beyond that, the money doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but then it makes you think that like a lot of the people who do reach those upper echelons of success are maybe not even money motivated themselves. Maybe it's something else that is driving them, because you have to look at someone who has, and you're like, what's the difference between having 5 million or 10 million at a certain point, or a billion and 2? I mean, what is can the brain even register the difference? And it probably can't, but I sense that maybe the thing that drives them forward is something else, just to almost a compulsion to be productive on some level. That's what I would imagine, or compulsion for, I don't know. More. Yeah. Whatever that is.
I think you can get addicted to more.
Yeah. Oh, I think you can too.
Yeah.
I think as well, the people around them have a lot to do with it. It's like, because they're all benefiting from the increase in profile, increase in money. So
they're like, let's keep the party going.
We should definitely do this other bigger thing, and we should keep your prices up, and
it's so true.
All the sorts of things that go on to keep that going, Speaking of wealthy artists, I came across this thing the other day. Who do you think is the wealthiest artist in the world?
Oh.
I couldn't believe it when I...
Oh, what's his name? Peter Doig.
No.
I was going to say Bob Ross.
No, I thought Peter Doig was really wealthy and kind of weirdly obscure.
He is.
Like the people don't really know who he is, but like he's like really
Scottish
wealthy.
guy, lives in Bermuda. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, who is he? Like you've seen him on YouTube and stuff, but it's like very obscured, but very wealthy. Okay, so not Peter Doig,
not Thomas Kincaid.
No.
And not Jeff.
I went up the list, right? It was like Jeff Koons, Damien Hirst, Gerhard Richter, all the usual suspects. But who was at the top of the list?
Give us a hint.
Who?
Or just
he's a figurative painter.
What? Kehinde Wiley.
Nope.
I have no clue.
Wait. Let me think for just.
Neil Rausch.
Nope.
What?
John Curran.
He's the richest?
1.4 billion.
Wow.
Oh my God, I did not know that.
That's unbelievable.
Now, the article was, I think, 3 years old, but he was, everyone else hadn't crossed the billion mark, like Jeff Koons, all the people you just assume, I don't know how that works. I don't know how that is, Oh
my God.
But, yeah.
Man, that's
I found it quite encouraging.
Yeah, it gives you a little bit of hope if you paint large-breasted women.
I know.
There's a chance.
Okay, I can see it. I can see the conversation now. The brain trust. Okay, Colleen, we've got to change
Yeah, I know.
direction.
Yeah, John, we'll get back to you. We gotta have a little brain trust
We
meeting
need a
right
brain
now.
trust meeting right now.
Yeah,
Reset
okay.
button. Will, you tried to get a studio visit with John, right? Didn't you meet him at that little thing?
Yeah, he had a talk in the village, and I went to it, and yeah, met him in person. He's a great guy. He's really, I like him a lot actually as a person, and I admire him artistically. I think he's a cool dude.
Yeah, I'd love to chat with them on the podcast. Just don't know how to
Oh,
get
you
to him.
should.
Yeah, I think he'd be
Log
great.
in on like with a golden microphone.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, that's right. From his underground lair.
Yeah,
Wow,
Yeah.
that's pretty amazing. Go, John
Yeah.
Curran.
yeah, seriously.
Yeah, it's great.
And he's
But
with Gagosian, right? Gagosian.
Yeah. Yes, I think so. I don't know. Yeah. Either way, they weren't answering my emails.
Did you contact
not
them?
Let me see. I can't remember now how exactly. I made a few attempts. Probably. I can't remember. It's when in that end of things, it's it's not like you
Yes.
can just send an email from their website and it all works
Yeah.
out, or send them a little Instagram message.
I know, and all they say is no to 90% of
Oh my
whatever
God.
inquiries they get all the time. I'm sure 99% is just no.
There's an art that I'm trying to learn now of how to DM somebody a one sentence liner, a famous somebody, one sentence liner that's like curated just right to hopefully maybe get them to message you back.
So what is the trick?
I'm learning it now. I don't know. I think that sometimes if you're too formal, it doesn't work because it's maybe too long-winded.
Mhm.
It's got to be short and snappy. Almost, you got to abbreviate your name, so it's almost like they already know who you are.
You know, abbreviate your name.
Well, like instead of saying Colleen, I'll say Call.
Oh,
Hey,
wow.
it's Call.
To someone you don't know.
Someone I don't know, but they're kind of famous, maybe.
Colleen,
And I
is
wanna
either
Who are you
network
trying to
with them.
contact?
You can't even imagine. I'm like pulling out everything trying these days. I won't mention names.
So
but
you'll say it's Call.
it's Call.
You won't say it's Colleen.
And then when they respond, if they do respond, they'll use my abbreviated Call. And then it's like it deformalizes it
Mm.
on a human level. And then but then picking up the thread, making the thread continue so that you can get a studio visit or you can get a conversation going.
How's
like,
it? Have you gotten a lot of studio visits so far? No, I'm just asking. Why,
they're
why
in
are
the
you
work
laughing?
because it's hard.
Oh, it's in the work.
They're in the works.
Oh, okay,
you
it's
know?
in the works. It's in the works.
I'm
But no,
surprised
it'll
they even
happen.
answer the DMs. A lot of people who are very up there, they get so many that they just don't. They just stop, and they'll even some of them
Yeah.
people will even say it in their thing. I don't answer DMs. Don't bother DMing me. It's not
Mm.
gonna-
Yeah, exactly. And those people, they can.
But it really depends. Some people will look at like every question and will respond. and
Yes,
it's really up
exactly.
to the individual. But of
'Cause-
course, yes, you do get up into the millions of followers. It's gonna be
I think
really
it's a
hard.
personality thing. Like I like to, like if people DM me, because in your inbox on your DM inbox, there's like public, and then like the messages get thrown out into like a block.
Yeah.
You have to accept it.
Yeah.
A lot of times I tried my hardest to talk to people and not have that like wall, like I'm over here and you're, I want to dismantle that wall
Mm.
for as much and many people as I can, of like be human to them. So if you have that attitude, you're just a certain personality that has that attitude. Some people are more like that, and others are not. They're
Mhm.
just very closed. You don't want to open that door,
Yeah. Or it's just too much work for them or whatever. But yeah, I think it's really up to the individual. I think some people are very attuned to what's going on in their DMs, and I think
Yes.
others are just tuned out to it completely.
Yeah.
But sometimes, yeah, I mean, for anyone who's listening, I think always just try, because the thing
Just
is,
try.
there's really nothing that you like lose by just writing someone that you admire, like a one sentence, "Hey, what's up?"
Yeah.
And you might be surprised, like, who would get back to you. I mean, they're not necessarily going to get back to you with like their home phone number and their address and say, "Come on over later, let's have some drinks." But
Well,
they
and what's the
might-
point, really?
yeah,
Yeah. You want to, what's the point?
but they might get back to you anyway and just say, "Oh, thanks," or heart your message, or this, that, and the other thing, and maybe it could start a longer conversation. You never know, but
Yeah.
I think it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, for sure.
I know for myself, and you've probably seen this. I mean, you've got how many followers have you both got each? You've got way more than me, I know.
I'm
Trust me, she knows the exact. She's only pretending she doesn't know. She knows the exact.
That is-
let
I
me
don't-
think.
down
Let
to
me
the
think. Give me a minute.
no, I
individual-
do not.
What-
Stop.
Pretend to get your
Yes.
phone out and check, Colleen.
I'll have to get my phone. 'Cause
No,
I
she's
don't know
lying. She
offhand.
doesn't even have. She doesn't even have. She knows.
I think
Trust
I'm
me.
okay. I'm just over 75, and Will's just over 65. Yeah.
Okay.
Or
Yeah.
roughly around there.
So you've probably seen this, but it seems, and I've heard people say this, and I think it's true. If somebody I mean, sure, okay, I answer DMs as well, just like you. But if I was somebody who's like, no, I'm far too important and busy to be answering DMs, but of course I'm going to check my comments because I'm vain.
Right.
And why would I be on
Exactly.
Instagram if I wasn't going to check my comments? But if people repeatedly make interesting or funny comments, I'll start to see their name. And I'll kind of, in a weird way, I'll have like a relationship with them and I don't even know who they are. And then maybe I'll kind of go, who is that funny, interesting person? And I'll just check them out and maybe I'll follow them back or whatever. So I think that strategy of just engaging, being respectful, and, you know, not just saying random stuff, but actually, you know, what you're saying relates to what the person's just posted. I think that can go a long way.
Yeah, it really can.
And stories too. Commenting on people's stories is big.
Yes.
I've found luck commenting on people's stories who I'd commented in their or DM them and they didn't get back to me, and then commented on their stories or said, "Oh, we, you know, like models, like, oh, we should do a painting together or whatever." I think people are sometimes more open to looking at their responses to their stories.
I think so too.
even if they're not checking their DMs. So that could work as well.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to get in touch with people is through the story function.
Right.
Replying or commenting on the story. Yeah.
Because the thing is that what's interesting about the story function is I feel like it's the thing that kind of puts you most in direct contact with your followers, because you can see every single follower who's like looked at your story, for instance. And then those comments are just coming up directly in your DMs from the stories. And it's kind of like, oh, it's just a very quick way to interact
And they're
with
private.
your followers.
The interaction's private. So it's even more of like, it's me and you together in this private room.
Yes.
And that's a really good.
It's like, yeah, you could post a message from like me to John, like on a message board where everyone can read what I said to you, or something that's, as you said, private between the two of us, John, just you and me.
Okay.
And it would be way
Getting
more
closer to that, coming
intimate.
over for dinner and cocktails. It's great.
There you go.
Do you do much live streaming on your channels?
You've never done it.
No, that was the Zoom workshop was the first live, but I think we're going to go for a Patreon.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a Patreon.
You should.
I don't know if it's going to be live stream, but it'll have content, answering questions.
Hang on, let
some
me qualify.
painting.
What I mean is, you know, where you go live on Instagram.
Oh yeah, no.
Oh, have you ever done that?
No, that's,
Never
right.
did
That's what I
that.
said. We've never
Oh,
done
you
live
should
stream.
have done that.
It's good
I
fun.
should have.
It is good fun. I've started
You
doing
do
it.
on the regular, right?
I do on the Further Emergence one.
Oh,
Not so much, a little bit on the art one, but yeah, like if I'm out walking the dogs and it's just really nice, I'll put it on, and then if anyone happens to come by, and I'll have a little chat with them as I'm just looking at the scenery and talking about whatever I'm talking about. But the nice thing is that it's when it's finished, it just goes straight into your feed as a little video, a longish video actually. It's just a nice little thing.
And the video is in your stories, the whole live feed video.
No, it goes to your feed. It goes to your feed as a post.
Oh,
you know, and you can
wow.
pick the thumbnail and do all that kind of thing. Yeah, when you finish the video and you go, okay, bye everybody, and you press end or whatever the button is, it sort of says, well, what do you want to do with this? Do you want to just delete this video, or do you want to send it to Instagram TV? And when you say yeah, then it gets into pick a thumbnail, and you can scan back across on the timeline, pick something that looks nice. You can put a little title, a little description, all the usual stuff, and then when you click save, it goes to your feed, and it's just like another post on your feed.
That's fantastic. You know, and I never go to people's live, their Instagram live. Like if I see it come up, I never press on
Why
it.
not?
I just never. I'm not gonna cut. I'm not like I don't know. I just don't do it. I should, but
Well,
This
it
one
can
part
be
of-
weird because if you go into someone's live feed and you're the only person, it's almost like they're going, "Hi, don't go," and then you feel bad. You know, it's like
That's so awkward.
I think that happened to me once.
Yeah.
Recently, actually, there was a model, and it was a male model, and he started a live feed, and I don't think I'd ever been to a live feed, and it just said, "Oh, so and so just started a live feed," and I just like clicked on it, and I was like, "Oh, I'll see what this is all about," and I was the only person in the room, and
Yeah, that is
it
so
was just
awkward.
me and this dude, and he was, I don't want to say what he was doing. It wasn't doing anything odd, but it was very intimate in a way, in a weird way, because just the two of us, it was like we're having some kind of like private like webcam
But can I ask?
meeting, and I just quickly signed out. But then that's the other embarrassing
Yeah,
thing,
then you're just out.
is that he said, "Will just joined the
And then
chat." Will just left the chat. Will just got the fuck out of there.
That's
yeah.
so
You didn't see the
awkward.
bit where he was crying afterwards. You know,
I
'Cause
know.
you wouldn't have heard
him.
him saying Will left the chat.
He was
'Cause you were
probably
gone.
like, "Thank God that guy left." You know, it was just, yeah, it would have been really weird if
So-
I had just lingered too long.
If you were to communicate with that person, you would be typing it in.
I guess
No,
so, yeah.
you can
Yeah.
go on the thing with them.
No.
Yes. And what's really funny is, right, you know, what you just described there, Will, where you kind of, oh, this is interesting, wonder what's happening. As soon as you do that, as soon as you join it, it kind of goes, it sort of says, would you like to join the live thing, right?
Yeah, that's
And
right.
There's this, it's big, you know, and it kind of almost looks like you should click this button, right? But
Right.
what happens is the screen splits, right? And suddenly you're in the thing, right? It's like split screen, and there's you in your underwear or whatever, or on the toilet
Yeah.
or wherever you happen to be, like, you know.
That's horrible.
Yeah, I mean, because it happens to me, like, people will kind of go, you know, Bill has requested to join the video, and I'm like, Bill, do you really want to come on camera with me right now? They're like typing like, no.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
I don't know why I put that in there. I don't know why I clicked that button. But
So
yeah, you can.
do you get people on the live chat with you, or
No,
you
anyone
just
who's
do solo?
not yet. I don't mind. Like anyone who has done that, I've kind of went, are you sure you really want to do that? And they're like, no, I didn't want to.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, that's hilarious.
yeah, the other wild thing you can do on Instagram is you can talk to people like this on Instagram. Did you know that?
Oh, we did
We
that
did
with
that the other day for the first
Yes.
time. Yeah,
yeah.
We
yeah.
did that.
pretty cool.
It was
Like
very
a little
cool.
FaceTime thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, it was good.
I
It was a
love
good
that.
time.
We gotta do that again with people.
Yeah.
because it's a great way to just quickly get on call and see face to face.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was into that.
Social
Yeah.
media is just incredible today.
I know. What will they think of next? What other way will they figure out how to connect us?
I know. It's insane.
Yeah. So how's it all going over there now? Is everything opening up and
Yeah. New York seems to be hopping.
Yeah, we went to an opening last night, to Zoe Frank's opening. I think.
Zoe
Colleen
oh yeah, I saw
mentioned
some of
that.
those pictures you put up there.
Mhm.
Brilliant. Yeah, Zoe's fantastic.
She is.
Yeah, and I was just 100% adamant that I wasn't going to wear my mask in the opening. I don't know why. I mean, I wear it everywhere, and you kind of still, it's socially required, I guess, even though the government and the state and federal government have said that you don't have to wear masks
Mhm.
if you don't want to, unless you're on the subway. Everyone in New York still wears a mask inside. And a lot of people are still wearing masks outside.
I think people are afraid to take that step and be
Yeah.
like, they want to be like, okay, we're ready indoors to not wear a mask, but
Yeah.
they're just a little scared that
which
gonna
I
be-
totally understand.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I kind of went like plowing into this opening without a mask
You're the
yesterday.
only
And,
one
and you
that-
really just feel like everyone's looking at you like, why is this
Yeah, who are you?
psychopath unmasked? Doesn't he know he's going to kill
You're like
us all?
Moses going through the Red Sea, where it was like people were.
I
Yeah, everyone's
Parting in
just
front of
getting
you.
out of the way. Get out of the way. Yeah, I mean, even though I've been vaccinated twice, and I'm quite sure that I'm going to be fine. So, yeah, I started wearing. I started without it completely, and then I put it over my chin, and then somehow by the end, I was completely covered.
Yeah,
and
because
just,
it's
just like
sheep,
everybody
the
else.
sheep mentality. It's like if 99% of people are masked, you're gonna be like, okay, I'm putting my mask
Yeah,
on.
no one in New York just wants to be that one guy or gal who's just walking around inside without a mask, because quite frankly, everyone's just going to be like,
What's wrong with you?
what is wrong with you? Even if secretly everyone wants to also take their mask off,
Well, I noticed if
it's just
I'm
really
like
awkward.
drinking, because I was drinking water at the opening, and I put my mask down, and suddenly I'm talking without my mask because I'm actually drinking. The other person will drop their mask.
Yeah,
It's this funny thing where
yes.
if you do start to take your mask off and you're talking to someone, the other person most likely will take off their mask.
I think it's so true. I think we all maybe have to start becoming that one freakish person who's walking around without a mask, and then someone's got to dive in there.
But out on the streets, no one's wearing. People are
there's still so many people wearing masks.
But there's a lot of people just free.
What would you say it's like 50-50?
Yeah, maybe 50-50. Yeah.
See, the thing is, that's still a lot of people to be wearing masks outside when they've basically said
you can take them off.
Yeah.
People are still cautious.
I mean, I understand that. I'm not like blaming.
But people
anyone.
are out at restaurants. There's a buzz. People are just out and about. It seems to us very much in a normal way.
Yeah.
So it's
maybe that's why people are tolerating the mask, is because so many things are open and like there's a freedom, and I think people are enjoying themselves in New York. I definitely don't think it's like doom and gloom at all. I think people are like probably feeling, hey, as long as I can do what I want, I could go to a restaurant, I could go shopping. Yeah, I'll just wear my mask inside and it'll be no big deal. So I think that's kind of like that happy medium that everyone is striking at the current moment. I mean, we've been bottled up for a long time. And I think now that things are available, people are like, all right, if this is the price I have to pay to do what I want to do, then it's not too much to ask.
Totally.
Yeah, I saw an article recently as well about there's a percentage of people who are very anxious about letting go of the mask because they were really enjoying the anonymity and the kind of protection and something to hide behind.
Wow.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, if it's an optional part of our social relations, I think that's fine. But when you're in an opening and it's loud, you can't understand anything.
It's so it's annoying.
And I'm actually having problems like recognizing people with the masks on that I don't see very often. Is I'm kind of like looking at them. And, there was an awkward moment yesterday. Do you remember that when we were talking to a student who I thought was someone completely different because of the mask?
What you think?
I don't want to get into it, but it was okay. I think you kind of helped me out.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh, this is so-and-so, because I thought it was someone completely different. I thought it was someone who was coming down.
It's true. If you don't see someone very often and you're only seeing their eyes, you can mistake them for maybe someone else.
And then maybe it's someone you don't socialize with because you've only known them from Zoom or something.
Yeah.
You see them in person and you're like a little bit of a disconnect.
Yeah, you met
like,
a student last night for the first time that you'd Zoomed with many times. But
I thought he was someone else for a few minutes.
Totally. That will happen for sure.
Yeah, that's so funny, isn't it? Because it'd be like, wow, I didn't realize you were so tall. Or, okay, you're quite short.
Yeah, I know. It's so true.
Yeah, exactly. Or the smell, that
smell.
too.
Yeah.
It's
so are you making plans? Are you going to be traveling again, or are you just taking it one day at a time?
We're preparing for our show that's happening next fall. And that's our next big
that's
thing.
2022?
No,
next 2021.
Fall 2021.
Yep.
This coming one. Okay, right.
At least that's what we're planning for. If it might get, it was pushed back with COVID, and if things need to be pushed back, it might get pushed back. But we are planning a duo show in New York City, without a gallery. This is just us. This is an indie project, a Will and Colleen indie project,
to
get our work on the walls somewhere.
So we're going to be working hard at that, not taking vacations, not taking time off, and just doing
Hustling
that until it happens.
And once it's packaged and ready to go, you'll definitely be hearing about it on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, come back on one of these catch-up things and talk about it for sure.
Yeah, we will. We'll be on the live. What is it? The live stream, talking to each other. Even though we'll be sitting next to each other, we'll still be talking to each other on the live stream with the split screen on the Instagram, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Heck out of it.
Yes.
Have you listened to any of the podcasts I did with Ashley Longshore?
No.
Do you know her?
Oh.
Do you know of her?
Why does that not ring a bell?
Okay, well, I think she's 101 for what you're trying to do because she's from New Orleans. She pretty much struggled for about 18 years, and then Instagram came along, and she was rejected by so many galleries that she just said, I'm just going to do it myself. And she very strategically started to figure out what she was going to do. So she targeted different groups. Like she had one collection of paintings that was targeted at fund managers' wives in New York. And the series was called Trophy Wives. So it was had that ironic twist. And she just went after them. So she would keep flying up to New York and just making connections. And she's done really well with that. She was saying she had the pleasure of seeing a Damien Hirst taken down off the fireplace and one of her paintings put up in its place. And when I talked to her first, it was just her and her studio manager. And now she's a multimillionaire and has a big team, 20 people or something working with her. And she is a force of nature when it comes to this stuff, you know. And all independent of galleries. And she's brilliant. And, you know, she's very accessible. And, you know, if you told her what you wanted to do, if she's got too big and important and won't take your email or answer your DM, I'll introduce you for sure. She her Instagram feed is hilarious. And she, as I say, she's a force of nature, swears like a drunken sailor. And, yeah, it's very inspiring from the business side of it, you know, but she definitely went outside the gallery system and stayed out there. She's been in Bergdorf's. I think she's got the cafe in there now. She has this big collaboration where all her stuff is, I think they gave her Bergdorf's cafe for a while. Maybe she's still there. I'm not sure. She had all the windows on Bergdorf's one time as well. She got to put her stuff in there. Yeah. So, yeah, she's
That's
lovely.
Awesome story. Oh my gosh, I'm looking at her work right now on her website.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
good for her. I love stories like that, John.
Yeah, well, I think I've had her on 2 or 3 times, and yeah.
Oh, I'll definitely go back and listen to some of those interviews with her. That sounds
we'll check it out for sure.
Because we love that that feeling of like do it yourself,
that independent spirit.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah,
especially with
Go ahead. Especially with what?
I was going to say, well, with just the times being that they are, with the art world being so unbelievably like inner circle-y, it's just it gives you the shivers, you know.
Yeah,
like,
well,
like it's a cult or something.
Yeah. Well, I think they're all panicked because they kind of know their days are numbered.
Yeah.
The art world's gone through the same disruption the music industry went through 10, 15 years ago, I think. They just don't want to admit it, and there's a lot more red wine and cheese to get through, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Someone else that springs to mind for that is Ron English. You know Ron English?
No. Is he Brit?
Okay. No, he's an iconic. He's kind of older. He's really interesting. But you're talking about cause and you're talking about all these different, his stuff he's amazing. Like he's technically fantastic, but it's kind of pop art. He did a lot of, you know, he went through a period of making billboards that were kind of a twist, you know, so he'd kind of hijack a billboard. He'd make up this fantastic billboard and then he'd hijack it and put up this, what happened was he got really sick of watching cigarette companies market to his children. So he started doing these, he went after the Camel, you know, the Camel, the Camel cigarette Camel. And he started doing up all these alternative.
Oh, for sure.
He just put up one extra panel that fit in perfectly and it completely changed the ad, you know. But he has done independent exhibitions in New York. He's in New York. I'd say he's in his 60s now. But I had him on the podcast a good while ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. But he makes the little dolls. He was just getting into making little dolls, and you know the injection molded kind of cause type little doll plastic things, you know. And he does kind of twists on. You're looking at his stuff there, Colleen, are you? Yeah. Okay. So it's like you'll have a Mickey Mouse and teeth will come back and there'll be like these fangs or these skeleton teeth or something.
Yeah. Or Ronald McDonald. I saw one. Mick Trippin.
He had a really,
it's like a really chubby Ronald
like
McDonald.
When Donald Trump was running for election, Ron English went crazy with all these different kind of parody paintings and parody stuff. You know, he was very ahead of the game on this isn't a great idea. But yeah, he was very accessible and very plugged into putting on exhibitions for yourself. And I mean, he's worked with galleries and, he told me a really interesting story actually about Van Gogh. He was saying that he was somewhere, let's say somewhere in Brazil, and the building that he was, I don't know, doing a residency in or something in, he said used to be for mentally ill people, or what would have been called back then an insane asylum. And the guy who was like the caretaker of the building said, "Oh, you're an artist, you like this." And he brought him down into the basement and he showed him all these paintings. And the paintings looked like they could have been painted by Van Gogh. And he said, "What, are these like unfound Van Goghs?" He said, "No, this guy had the same mental illness that Van Gogh had. And apparently when you have that mental illness, that's the way you see the world and that's the way you'd paint." Isn't that wild?
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That is
Weird.
wild.
Don't know if it's true or not.
Wow.
It's a great story.
What was the mental
Yeah,
illness?
what was the mental? What was the mental
I
mental
can't
illness
remember
that Van Gogh had?
the name of it. Something along the, it was kind of one of those combination things, bipolar with schizophrenia, or I can't remember, but it was a particular combination. And it was the kind of thing that when you look at the paintings and you work it backwards, you see that the two dots join, if you know what I mean, at the mental illness, But
That's
yeah,
cool.
Ron was saying it was amazing to look at them. They really did look like they'd been painted by Van Gogh,
That's interesting. Those types of overlaps.
I think he tells that story on the episode.
Oh, we'll have to take a look at that.
Yeah, we got to catch up on these.
Yeah, we do. I have a lot of podcast catching up to do.
Oh my god.
Whew. There's so much content out there.
It's true.
Yeah, have you
It's
listened
overwhelming.
to any of the Art Holes podcasts?
Art hole?
Art Holes.
Art holes?
No.
Art Holes, yeah. Oh, highly recommend it. It's so good.
Oh, have you even heard of it?
It's
I feel like we're out of the loop here.
Yeah, we are. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. The art hole.
no, just Art Holes. ARTHOLES. Yeah, it's Michael, I can't remember his surname. He describes himself as a failed stand-up comedian. And it's basically a really deep dive into specific artists by somebody who doesn't know anything about art. So you're kind of going along with him as he's learning things, So
Cool.
he's done Picasso, Caravaggio, Frida Kahlo, and Jackson Pollock. But
Oh, cool.
Caravaggio is,
Oh, I see.
I think it's 8 or 9 hours long. Right?
Oh my
Wow.
god.
It's like
that's-
each episode is an hour, and he goes like the first episode of the Caravaggio one is an hour long, right? And it is a condensed version of, or it's a condensed story of Christianity right up to the time of Caravaggio. It's like just for context, so
Wow.
what world Caravaggio came into, and it does. You can see why he did it because it's referenced all the way through. But he's also quite funny. I find him funny anyway, and gets quite emotionally involved in it. And particularly if he likes the artist or he doesn't like the artist. Like he was pretty much. He fell in love with Frida Kahlo, and he was choking up like when he was reading the bit about her dying. He got so into it, and then he couldn't stand Jackson Pollock, so he'd sort of he'd be describing something that happened, and he'd like, fucking course, typical. Of course, this is going to happen to this guy. He's such a shithead, And then the story,
Oh, I like that.
Oh yeah, it's really good fun. Yeah, and I learned like a ton. Oh, speaking of which, I have this. I'm coming up to my 200th episode, right? And I have this rough idea of having a quiz, an art. Thank you, of having an art quiz. And what I thought is I'd get the because I've had a couple of different couples like yourselves on individually, and I thought we could have a big art quiz for the couples.
I love it.
Oh, what if
Now,
we
We're not
lose?
the best competitors in that field, but we'll try.
I'm scared. I'm not going to help you there. Will.
Probably not.
Well, I've already mentioned it to Cornelia Hearns and Stephen Bauman, who are in Norway at the moment.
Oh, they're in Norway.
And who else? I've got a few of like Kwang Ho and Adrian Stein, Mia Bergeron, John.
There's so
Platt.
many. Oh my gosh, there's so many
there's a
artist
few.
couples. Right
The
now.
only thing is, I don't want to have to go to the trouble of coming up with questions. And I've sort of said it in the last catch-up episode. I'm thinking of this, and can everyone send me questions? No one has sent me questions, so it may not happen.
Yeah.
So I'll say it again in this one. And if it doesn't happen, I'm going to
Okay.
threaten them with a Eurovision episode that's going to mark because I'm kind of into the Eurovision Song Contest.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my
How's
God.
it going?
Yeah, Italy won. Great song, really good.
Okay, cool. Oh, I got to catch up on that too. We don't get that at all here. Oh,
I
we've got American
know.
Idol, and that's just about it.
And we don't really watch conventional television, me and you, at all.
Yeah, that's no excuse. I don't either. And it's available on a website. You could have watched it live.
Oh,
It was
I love
available
that
on
sort of
YouTube,
thing.
actually. Yeah, the Italians won. Very hard rocking song. Really not
Oh,
like what you would think of as
cool.
a Eurovision song. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, really good.
That's
Yeah, it's very good. I
Mm.
have a listen to that song. It's very good. There was quite a few good songs in it. And they were taking did you watch that movie, Eurovision, with Will Ferrell?
That's the closest I got to it. It's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Well, when Iceland came to vote, they do the voting. The guy who was, the guy who was obsessed with Ya Ya Ding Dong, that song? He was like, Ya Ya Ding Dong. You remember him?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the juror. He was.
Oh my
It's
God.
all very ritzy, and you have these two like presenters, and now we're going to go to the judge in Norway or whatever. And it gets to Iceland, and there's your man. Like he looks like he stepped off a fishing boat, and and they were like, "Oh, that's so funny." And then he was like, "So," because the whole thing is like, "Who are you going to give your 12 points to?" So he like gave his thing, and he said, "Okay, it's just 12 points goes to Ya Ya Ding Dong, right?" And they
Oh
were
my
like,
God. That's
"Ha
ridiculous.
ha, ha, that's so funny." And then he wouldn't stop.
Oh my God.
He just was like, "Yeah, yeah, ding dong," and they're like, because they're on a clock, So they're like, "Could we have your real votes, please?"
Oh
It was one of
my
those
God.
beautiful, really awkward moments. It was perfect.
Oh, it sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was a great show, but yeah, the Italian song's very good. So yeah, I
Cool.
think I'll threaten everybody with doing a complete Eurovision themed song unless they send me some questions in for my art quiz idea.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that sounds really good.
Yeah. Sounds cool.
Keep us posted.
Yeah, I think it could be fun.
Love it.
I don't know. We'll see. It's too much work to come up with. Jesus, come up with all those questions on my own.
Oh, that is a
Yeah, that's a lot.
Trivia.
Maybe there's like a book or something with like some
I know. I said that. I said, look, send me in questions, or if you know of some resource you can just point me towards. Surely somebody's got it.
Yeah.
Where it just says questions and answers. Because it's not so much about the questions; it's about the fun of like the competition, But anyway,
Yeah,
so that's good.
exactly.
Okay, so you're on board in theory. That's good.
Yeah, totally.
for
Just
sure.
keep us posted.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah. Well,
Lovely
it's
John,
really
chatting
good.
with
thanks
you.
so much for having us. This was
Yeah.
always fun.
I know. We love talking with you. So let's be in touch about maybe a longer one.
yeah. I'd
Touching
say
base about the-
probably. I have a feeling maybe 3 or 4 months. That's probably when
Yeah,
we'll
that
be
sounds
ready
good.
to
Perfect.
come back, because I think it's still a bit too soon for Will, and also
It
I
could
kind
even
of
be
know.
after our show. Should be before or after?
Either way, it's fine.
Yeah.
I have a feeling, just based on the individual response to the two of you, that when I sort of say, "Oh, the two of them are coming on," yeah, it's going to be a lot of questions. So.
Well,
no, this
it was
is great,
really
John.
fun,
Thanks so
and
much.
you're totally on our wavelength. So we
Yeah, you
love
got
it
it for sure.
and we are so thrilled for just the adventure that is making it as an artist in 2021.
Good.
Yeah, it's an adventure for sure.
It
It's
is.
fun.
You gotta have fun
Great.
with it.
Okay. Well, I'll have a lovely day. And
Have a great
Bye, Johnny,
summer.
too.
Okay,
Thanks
be
again.
safe.
thanks.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you later.
bye.
I've never felt this good in my entire life. Make me some spaghetti.
Actually, I'd prefer a cup of tea. A cup of tea would be lovely. So, yeah, just a little reminder, mainly because every second or third person who becomes a patron has got in touch with me and said, "You know what? I've been listening to your podcast for ages, and I didn't become a patron, not because I don't have the money, not because I don't think it's great. I just didn't get around to it." So this is a little friendly reminder that if you'd like to be a patron, you'd like to buy me a cup of tea, go to patreon.com/John Dalton. Gently does it, all one word. Or follow the link in the show notes to become a patron. I would really appreciate it if you could do that, particularly if you've been meaning to and you just haven't got around to it. It would be great. It would mean a lot to me. All right. Thank you. Bye.
We are the Argyle Pimps, so buy us a drink. We're better than you thought, but not as good as we think. We are the Argyle Pimps, so buy us a drink. Come on, buy us a drink. Come on, buy us a drink. We are the Argyle Pimps, so buy us a drink. We're better than you thought, but not as good as we think. We are the Argyle